So, I want to thank Icon for this video. It's really, really good. What's up, everybody? It's me, Crimson60620, and I am back to do another video. Wow, it's awesome. 3 videos in a... Well, I normally do as much videos as I can. And if you can, just like, share, and subscribe, and we can get into this video. Which one of our Discord, Patreon, and channel members? Dog, you giving me like $3? No, it's $2. But you're giving me this video, so that's actually a lot better. And by the way, check out Icon's channel, his TikTok and his YouTube channel. And let's get into this video. So we are, if you guys have seen, I've been doing videos not just about politics, but relationships and how relationships go. And it's one of those things where it sparked a conversation in our Discord, which is awesome because we love sparking conversations in our Discord. And it talked about how, well, I saw it once and I just thought I could make a video on it because it was pretty good. Let's get into that video, shall we? So, let's just start off by watching because it was actually pretty good. Let's go.
Despite talking about the moral sex panic and dating being used to endear the culture to surveillance and the police state, and this digital vigilantism being largely promoted by dating culture, and the way capitalism informs the way y'all partner, like, I talk about this all the time and it's still...
So this is the first video I've seen of this young woman, and it's kind of, so many things were thrown out in that first 15 seconds, about how you have the predator hunters, especially on TikTok, and YouTube. You have the idea that dating, like, there's just this over sexualization, which is not, as a matter of fact. And this is a point that's also made in the video. A lot of the younger generations are just becoming so prudish. Now, some of it is because, like, they're not having sex, and they're not having sex because they didn't have the place to have sex. And so it's kind of one of those post hoc rationalization things that a lot of people actually see. It's just, okay, we're talking about later. Let's go. But, the gamification of relationships, it's just sad, really. But let's go.
Still disheartening to see, like, cultural norms and values and discourse is being managed by generations who do not remember a life pre 24-hour news cycle, who were raised with this level of accessibility to the world and to each other, which makes it really easy to propagandize people. Perfect example.
Yeah, no, for real, seriously. When I was married to my ex, she used to critique me for watching like 4 hours of news, and that was fine, and this was back in the aughts. But nowadays, people are just eternally online, and I mean, like, I will admit, I watch a lot of YouTube and Crunchyroll and Netflix. But so many people build their lives around, like, just what's the newest fire. And it's just, it is a way of getting people to live in a constant state of fear and despair and the rise of doomerism. It's just crazy. But let's go.
example is crime. The block I grew up on was, like, by numbers, way more dangerous when I was a child. But let NYPD tell it now. They gonna act like it's Mad Max. And
dude, yes, there was literally shootouts on my block in the 90s. And it's just like, dude, the crime in the 90s were just unbelievably high. We had to deal with the people that had to live with having lead paint in their homes, and the dispersion of the people that lived in the housing projects. Because I live in Chicago. Literally, people would, on a weekly basis, just get shot because existing. Because they was on the wrong block. Because they walked us the wrong way. Because they signed the wrong thing. The wrong way. And yeah, there were gang signs, like not just gang colors, there were gang signs and everything else. We are living, and not just taking it back from 90s, we're living in some of the most peaceful times humanity has ever experienced. And yet people act as if the world is coming to an end. And yes, of course, I know we have, mad. But, dude, we still have peaceful. Like, when I say mad, MAD, that's like a policy that we kind of forgot that existed, except for certain things. It is, and not saying that there aren't problems. But to recognize where you're going, you have to recognize where you've been. Those who fail to remember history are doomed to repeat it, but all that other good stuff. But let's go.
It's easier to make people assume that, because part of the problem with being raised on the internet is that you are really likely to conflate visibility with volume. Just because.
Yes. Somebody said it in a more concise way than what I can say it. Perception does not equal reality. And I know I kind of got into a conversation where I was explaining to somebody on the Discord server that, yeah, these people are online all the time and they're pushing this, a way of the way to look at the world. And we're kind of agreeing, but we were kind of disagreeing. And it was, and I know who the person I'm having a conversation with, and it was, I was trying to get them to recognize that people are trying to make online reality. And he was saying, well, no, the real people that you talk to in real, like, yeah, I get it, but it's bleeding over in some people's perception. And I think that's what I was actually missing. But people are just believing that the world must be like this because this is what I see online. And they try to work to make the world like that. And it's just, it gets to a point where it's just like, go outside, walk in this thing called light. Not just artificial things that I have like making me light, but it's this big bright thing called the sun. It's awesome. And if you burn a little bit, they have this cream that you can put on, but you can go out on the sun and actually smell this thing that we have naturally called air, mostly nitrogen, some oxygen. And it's this green stuff called grass. No. You can smoke some of it sometimes, but it's not. It's grass. Take your shoes off. Go wash your feet first. But touch it with your feet. Do something called walking. Oh, okay. If you may have some allergy, take some Benadryl with you. Not too much because you don't want to get too messed up. But touch grass. Not only touch grass. Talk to people. It's fun. It's fine. That's fun. But okay. And also after you touch the grass with your feet, go and wash your feet again. All right, but let's go.
Because you see something a lot does not mean it is happening a lot. That's like something that really is not as understood as people would like that I would like to think it is.
True, so true. And yes. We're gonna say yes. We're gonna give the caveat, and we're gonna give the point that yes, the algorithm actually pushes to something that you've seen once. They want you to watch it again because they want to keep your eyes on the channel. But this is also something that was happening before we had social media, because people thought because I'm around this, I see this a lot, then this must translate to all of reality. That's not how it works. Now you guys see why I want to do this video, but let's continue.
Because if it were, I wouldn't be having the conversations about sex that I'm often having. And we see the worst examples of this in dating culture, right? Where surveillance was really easy to bake into modern partnering, in large because of this accessibility of information all the time. My friend is better than the FBI. This is surveillance. You're discussing surveillance. You take a picture of a random man in public. You come on here, you say, find my husband. And they do. That wasn't your husband. You just asked people to dox and digitally stalk someone. But none of that...
What? The sad part about it is mostly it's true, because people in the FBI and the NSA were doing it for people that had no security risk at all, but because, you know, I need to keep track of this person that I'm interested in, not dating, not that I'm married to, that I'm interested in, like, yeah, and they found like reports that people were abusing it, almost as if it was people were looking at their own self-interest. It did say, oh, national security. Okay, let's go. I'm sorry.
That is understood. It's not taken into consideration in its full weight, because despite being raised on the internet, the same generations don't think it matters what they do. It's weird. Like I'm laughing, but it's scary. And because
oh shit, like definitely, it's that I, ironically enough, was 16, 15 when I actually got a computer in my home, my teenage home, and it was kind of weird because like I still had dial-up. So like I didn't necessarily get an ass whipping when that bill came out. It's like, what would you want a phone for so much? I was on the internet. AOL startup disc where you get the first month free and all the other good stuff, and you had like 20 of them. I knew like some of the stuff that's on the internet. And of course, my high school had like internet computers. Before I graduated, and I graduated in 2000, it was, yeah, yeah. But I knew that people lie on the internet. I knew people, and it's like the generation now that was raised exclusively to have internet, they've lost discernment in sarcasm, parody. Yeah, not every part of them. I'm not even gonna say that, but just the idea of that people don't understand sarcasm, parody, being hyperbolic, or worse yet, they're using hyperbole to cause outrage, to cause hasty generalizations. It's like people lost something. People lost the ability to communicate like face to face. I get it. I love the fact that you can actually connect with people across the world. But it has a toll. Context lost. Euphemisms lost. Everybody capping, everybody's sweeping, everybody's caping, everybody's, they crashing out. It's like it's been moved, like communication to some people have been moved to the most basic terms, no subtext, no context. And it's just, I'm gonna say it if you haven't already said it. You damn kids, get off my lawn. All right.
At a point with technology where there's almost no separation in a digital life and meat space. Like, they're one and the same at this point in a lot of ways. Like, we've been forced to integrate. And the internet rewards people's worst impulses. Like, digital vigilantism is full proof of that. And the reason it's so bad with dating is because people date like investors. The language of dating is like investment.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. And it seems like I'm offering the same more agreeable critique and not really critiquing a video. That's not the purpose of this video. It's one of those things where it's just like, oh my God, you can't gamify human behavior. I know people try it, but you can't gamify human behavior. You can't gamify the way humans react. I was doing a little bit of a writing exercise, and I was like, humans are the most reasonable, illogical, emotional, stoic creatures out there. And to think that you can gamify, work it down to some mathematical calculation. I'm an alien, and I know, have you ever met humans? All right, let's go.
It's the reason women run around on here talking about sunk cost fallacy and the ROI. And if it's been 3-4 years and you don't have a ring, you wasted your time. Capitalism has tricked people into thinking they can gamify and thus optimize every outcome they are seeking.
Now, here's the thing. This is one point that I disagree with. I don't think it's just capitalism. I think in all points, and something that kind of like I remembered in like this, sci-fi YouTube channel I watch, humans are lazy. Oh my God, humans are lazy. And we go for the most optimal strategy that we can, even before capitalism. You know how humans succeeded? Instead of getting bigger and stronger, we learned how to use tools. Not only that, we were persistent hunters. And you would think, like, what does persistent hunter mean? It means that where all the other animals that we would chase, we would run fast, and instead of getting faster, humans are like, okay, we're just gonna outlast them. Let's save that energy. And that mindset of work smarter, not harder, even though that's the stupid saying when you deconstruct it, is how humans approach a lot of different things. How much effort does it take for me to do it? Let's see if we can do it 10% less. 10, it's hard to figure out 10. Let's just a little bit less. If it's 10, 20, I don't care. So I wouldn't say it's just capitalism, but it's the way the humans are just wired to work. But let's go.
In relations with other people, we are not algorithms, and relationships not working out is one of the things you are signing up for. It is one of.
Yes. Here's the thing, and I've actually said this to people. I've actually had these conversations with people. First, ground rule. Every relationship that you have in your life, no matter what it is going to end. It's going to end. It's just going to end. If you take it to finality, either they're going to leave this mortal coil, or you're going to leave this mortal coil. It's just going to happen. It's going to end. We take pleasure in that destination. And if something happens when that relationship needs to end, it's fine. It doesn't invalidate the time that you spent with somebody. The only way it invalidates that is if you're seeing them as an investment for later, that you need to make sure that they stay around with you, because that's the only way to make sure that the relationship is actually valid and has meaning. Like, no, you can have a valid relationship with somebody for a day, a month, a week, a decade. Just because it ends doesn't make that relationship less valid. It doesn't. Now, if they're lying to you, they're not being who you expect them to be. First, it maybe need to end that, and especially if they're lying to themselves. But it doesn't mean that you wasted your time. No, that's expecting to make somebody you get in a relationship yours, so they can only be yours and not have anything else besides you, because you're the best. And I get ego, human ego. Oh, you motherfuckers are just... How could you have such an ego for such a weird and little species? I don't get it. I don't... Fuck. Anyway, let's go.
The risk you are signing up for when you partner. Yet the culture right now is deeply reluctant to hold the onus of that risk. I blame, honestly, the way romance has been taught in media.
So, and this is a point where I 100% agree. Not in just modern media. Ever since the Romantic period in the history of language, in like not language, but in English, like the English Romantic period, it has poisoned our mind. And I know some of you might, oh, that sounds like stuff from a school life. It's real. It has poisoned our mind to say that I love you. You must love me. I love you. You're the best thing there is. And it is romanticism. Romanticism has destroyed us. More than capitalism, more than it runs up there, and ironically, it's symbiosis with the way people see religion. And oh my God, this unbelieving devotion to an idea, a person, a way of thinking, a principle, this unquestioned allegiance is something that we built into ourselves. It seems like within the last couple 100 years, but it plays on a part of our brain that is just there, and it just hurts. And it centers people's idea of who they are in themselves. It centers this idea of what people deserve, no matter what. And it's just like, you're not entitled to other people's agreement, time, love, allegiance. It goes back to the ego thing, and it's just sad.
For years, you can't help who you fall in love with, the falling in love thing at all. If you decide that loving people isn't an autonomous act, then it's really easy for people to posit that they've been finessed or harmed or violated by love not working out for them. Because y'all...
Yes. You can't help what you're attracted to within reason. Again, within reason. But to actively get in a relationship with somebody, you're and this isn't even victim blaming. You're making a choice. You're making a choice to want to say, hey, I care about this person. I want to be with this person. You can care about a person. I care about a lot of people. But I learned one thing that keeps me from, getting into points of no return is, don't stick your part in crazy. And I know that seems simple, and I know the crazy ones is always the best. And like, no. No, they're not always the best. They're not always the best. No. And it's just like, I have to tell people, like, you have a choice with this. And I get it. The sunk cost fallacy with a lot of people actually, it really is. And it's not even that I spent my time in this and I don't want to give up the time. It's that I don't want to seem like a fool because I dealt with this, or I need to have somebody, and this person accepts me to a point, and even though they have terrible things or mildly things that are hurting me, I need to have somebody. It's not the end of the world to have an ended relationship. It's not. It's only if you make it. But let's go.
Already decided it's not something you do consentfully. It's not something you do mindfully. Meaning it's easier to look at it as something that, like, encourages predation. Like, all of this feels very apparent to me. It could be an age thing. It could be a generational thing. I think it's really a work thing that makes me way more clarified in how I understand these relations. But it's genuinely...
And I think that's a lot of things, too. I think once Gen Z actually gets out in the workforce and Gen Alpha gets out in the workforce where they have to interact with people, they just can't press block. And I know you've heard me say that before. You just can't block somebody and just like, oh, I don't want to talk to you. Where they have forced to develop these skills and interact with this thing called the world, some of that will change. Now, if you look at people that don't work, or you look at your streamers who effectively are insulated from that type of interaction, and some people have become inoculated to it, but that inoculation wears off. Like, you'll get the people who, like, I worked, a job at this coffee shop, or I worked this little bit of jobs for like 5 years, versus the people who have worked 10, 15 years with actually working with people. That, and you can kind of become distant from, you can actually forget that, if, depending on how you surround yourself with people. But when you've had to deal with people, not just like, block, mute, it becomes something that you're ingrained with. And yes, that muscle can become atrophy, but it's just something where you just have to be like, yeah, let me try to deal with this. But let's continue.
Concerning, because Pandora's box is open in so many ways. The internet isn't going anywhere. The visibility that certain communities have will never go anywhere, because the internet, like, farms outrage. It's the model right now. And people...
True. I get it. It's a trying, dangerous time for certain communities. But that motherfucking ship has been sailed. I'm sorry. And yeah, you can say that certain visibilities lead to people to, in all cases, try different things or act different ways, and they become centered when they become older. Not in a way that they were worn down by the system, but they start to find an equilibrium of who they are. And sometimes the equilibrium isn't, what you want it to be is too far left or too far right. But they start to get an equilibrium in themselves, and they go from there.
People have yet to reconcile with the fact that what they see is not always the majority. Like, a perfect example of that is sex and media. Like, I've been having this conversation for years now, because all the time people are telling me they are inundated, and I'm like, show me the inundation.
It's the fact that a lot of these people build up these algorithms, or I remember doing a video about D-Roy. And if you guys don't know the lore of my channel, D-Roy Cruz, your life application officer, he complained that Why am I getting these videos in my feed about these men that's trying to, these gay men that's trying to convert straight men to their cause? And it was like, Deroy, you was looking at them. Why am I getting these videos of this black tape fashion event? Deroy, you were looking at them. It's YouTube. You will look, you search for them. You search for 3 or 4 of them, and they just get put in your algorithm. Like, really, for real. Recently, this was just happening. So instead of having a computer powerful enough to play it, I watch videos of Timberborn. And like, there's like other creators are just brought up, even creators that have small channels, smaller than mine, and mine is like microscopic, are coming up in the feed along with everything else in my feed. Some things are taken out, even though I watch considerable amount of it. The sci-fi channel that I'm watching, the channels like that pops up in my feed. It is something that I recognize that we have a algorithm, and because people don't just take the time, like, oh, they feeding me this. Oh, let me just hit, do not recommend channel. People are just like it. I'm not saying that I am wise beyond my years. I know more than anybody. As a matter of fact, I know what I don't know, and I want to know more about the stuff that I don't know. So, fuck, just explain the Dunning-Kruger effect. But I recognize that they just feeding us stuff. And you know what's funny? You know what's fun? Like, actually trying to get your algorithm to feed you certain things. Like, look at this, like, and they don't give you enough of it, and then you just get more of it. You actually have to force feed. Like, okay, I'm sorry. It's just, I like messing with people, even messing with that algorithm and messing with myself. Oh, that's different from playing. Okay, ooh, look, back to the subject.
I look for it actively and can't find it where y'all do. Then you look at the data, because people research this for a living, and you see they're like, no, we've actually seen a very steady decrease in the last 20, 30 years of this material in film and TV. But the Shreeds are always telling me they can't find a show without it. I can't find a show I want to watch with it.
I recently recorded a video. It should be out soon. It's going to be out before this one, where I was talking about somebody's perception of how they see victims everywhere and predators everywhere. It's like, dude, your channel caters and, panders to this type of mindset. Of course you're going to see it.
It's just really hard not to be worried about so many things. And cultural power is always shifting, and it has a generational shift every time. And Gen Z, Gen Alpha concern me a lot, because...
But I'm cooler than my parents. But everybody thinks that they're cooler than their parents, and every parent thinks they're more sane than their kids. They're smarter than their kids. It's a thing that happens.
I see what the attitudes are already. The writing is on the wall. I made a video giving free game last night to seduce a partner, and there are people in those comments saying I described an assault. These are the people shaping culture in a hyper-surveilled police state where the general public...
You know what? I see it. Like, don't get me wrong. And, I watch certain content creators. And the ones that have worked years on a job and the ones that not really. And I've seen them like, yo, this is a classic example. There was recently a big YouTuber who, I don't know, was supposed to be normie, and he was a piece of crap. He was manipulative and leading the chick on, and just like how she described her assault. Many of us who actually did this thing called going outside and actually interacted with people was just like, the way you describe it at first doesn't sound like an assault. It sounds like you were a bit scorned. And then when they used the emotional manipulation, people jumped on their side, and then they still had inconsistency. And then it was just more like when they came out with a follow-up to address the inconsistencies, their story just fell even more apart, and they just started doing reenactions where it was just like, you gotta be kidding me. And it's the thing about it is, people need to understand this hyper this is not redundant, this hyper being hyperbolic, this super hyperbolic tendency. Yeah, that don't sound ridiculous, but it's dangerous. It farms outrage. It doesn't leave any worth for nuance, and not the nuance of just, I just want to make an excuse, but it doesn't leave room for anything. And I joke about enthusiastic consent, but not the start of each interaction I do when I have an intimate time with a person is like, yes, give it to me more. That's usually later on, but we're not going to talk about that. But like, oh my god, it's taking time to learn and grow and acquire knowledge. It's taking effort. It's taking some pains. It's taking just like experience. And so many people are averse to what is essentially growing pains. And no, that's not saying that you need to, and I see, I have to explain this. It's not saying that you need to assault somebody in order to figure out the boundaries. No, effort. Learning takes effort. But let's continue.
Is endeared to surveillance, especially in dating already, and thinks they are owed lifelong partnership, marriage, children, house money, etc., just for getting into said relation.
Yes, exactly. This is what I was saying before. Every relationship ends. Sometimes it's about the journey. It's about enjoying who you're with, regardless if it's a physical relationship or not. Let's continue.
Like, I'm on a ride that has turns I did not want to take.
So,
if your complaint about a
I enjoyed that video. I actually had to bring it to you guys. And yeah, no. The internet is Pandora's box. And fear, anger, self-doubt, greed, maliciousness. But there's also hope. I just hope we find a balance before all the evils escape. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. We're going to cut the video segment here. I want to say thank you to all my Patreon supporters and my Twitch subscribers. Join the Guardians, become a member, or become a subscriber on YouTube, Patreon, and help support the channel. Thank you for watching this video, and the next one should be popping up on your screen. Subscribe, and if you haven't checked it out and want to help out the channel, check out my Patreon. Thanks.